Ask Reddit daily. Who was the dumbest person you ever met? How did you know? My best friend asked me this when I moved to Europe. She asked if I could see the moon there, or if it only existed for the USA. When I moved from Europe to the US, I was asked, do you guys have television? This was in 2005. Conversely though, I did have people in my German HS class tell me I was an idiot for saying that MLK did not free the slaves. They were adamant that he was the one who freed the slaves. I had a guy at work tell me that Benjamin Franklin was the 100th president because he's on the $100 bill. I mean, we're only on the 45th, so he could be right one day. In another 200 years a kid may well be named Ben Franklin unironically. Teacher, Ben Franklin unironically, Ben Franklin unironically, present. She thought I was trying to trick her into believing that Adolf Hitler was real. But, like, were you? Oh hell yeah, I not only tried but also succeeded in the end. But I couldn't trick her into believing the Holocaust. She said there was no way, darn it. On the bright side, she probably votes now, so that's good. I have legit encountered someone who claimed that NASA is fake. Not just the moon landing conspiracy stuff, but the entire organization, the buildings, the people, the rockets, everything is just CGI. And you can tell it is CGI because everything got so much better and improved as CGI grew closer to perfection in our current day. It was hard to imagine someone dumber, really. Someone in my work expressed shock once at my postcard of Niagara Falls because she didn't believe it was a real place. I thought that was just for films. I always thought it was a made-up place, you know, like the Grand Canyon. I know a guy who thinks the special tea he drinks negates the negative health effects of his pack-a-day smoking habit. What's this special tea? I think I might have smoked one pack too many. Stupidity. Amazing. This needs to be on store shelves next to smart water. The real question is, what kind of tea do you drink to come up with gems like this? Witty. Quality. I went to school with a girl that legitimately thought 9/11 was done by German Nazis. Pretty sure that was 9/11. I know a guy who vaped mercury on a dare. Did you go to the funeral? You knew a guy. Girl in my class asked the professor if other countries have moons too. This is so innocently stupid and it's my favorite. Only if it was a teacher, not a professor. This is actually concerning. It was Lori Loughlin's kid. We hired a girl a couple years ago. I told her where the manager's office was her first day. Second day, she asked me where the manager's office was, so I walked her to the door. Third day, she asks me where it is again. Our manager chewed out the girl who trained our new recruit for not teaching the job properly. The trainer pulled out her phone and showed the manager a picture of the girl wearing the uniform backwards and said, look at this. This is untrainable. New girl got fired about 3 weeks later for stealing the product because she thought she got it for free because she was an employee. This reminds me of a girl I like to remember as Moon. She would just glaze over and leave her body when you delivered the most basic instructions. It was not a hard job. She hugged me when I fired her 2 weeks later. My sister-in-law is an anti-vaxxer and believes her kid's cerebral palsy was caused by vaccines despite the kid being born with 1/4 of her brain physically missing. That girl is lucky. She could have been born missing her whole brain like her mother. Absolute savage. I love it. I remember proofreading a paper for a freshman my roommate had the hots for. It was on Jonathan Swift's A Modest Proposal, but somehow this freshman didn't catch that it was satire. The opening lines of the paper are burned into my memory. Eating children would not be a good thing to do. In fact, we could say it would be bad. Well, we could say that, but would it be true? Eating children is bad and wrong. In fact, there should be a new word for it, like badren, or baden. Yes, eating children is baden. What if she was also super satirical and sarcastic but you misinterpreted it? I used to work with the nicest person I've ever met, but he was also the dumbest. Even though he had been there over a year, he couldn't do anything beside washing dishes without someone watching over him. He just could not figure out how to do anything on his own. Someone, usually me, would have to watch over every little thing he did to make sure he was doing it right. It would have been frustrating if he wasn't the nicest damn person on earth. He was always so happy to see you and did everything with a smile on his face. Luckily he could wash dishes like a freaking beast. I'm not exaggerating when I say he could wash dishes faster and cleaner than anyone I have ever met. That's the reason he would do other stuff, is because he washed dishes so damn fast we'd have to find other stuff for him to do. His wife was normal and all his kids were doctors or engineers. They were all crazy smart. What was kind of sad is that he knew he wasn't the smartest, but he was so damn nice. The fact he knew he wasn't the smartest actually shows he's pretty intelligent in at least that specific way, and humble. Most dumb people have no idea they're dumb. This is probably the only person in the whole thread who I actually look up to. A guy at a job site said this to me in all seriousness. I am quoting. If Hitler had put all the Jews on the Titanic, he coulda saved himself a lot of trouble. I felt like I had a stroke. Also, saved himself a lot of trouble is a scary mundane way to describe genocide. Right? Makes it sound like the worst part about genocide is the effort it takes. I had a boss who told me that she never kept leftovers from a meal because that's how polio got started. All that pre-cooked food in the supermarket, it's all polio. I was working in a French company. We were working with a dev team in Vietnam on some IT project. The project manager they report to in HQ is French. They didn't like him and he knew it. The Vietnamese team did some great job. He wanted to find the correct words to congratulate them, hoping to smoothen the future relationship. He sent that incredible thank you email. When we see the quality of your work, we can only realize how sad it is that we lost you guys as a colony. The French expats in the Vietnam office told me they were hiding in shame for a full week. Whoa, that's like congratulating a black guy and saying what a shame that you can't buy him anymore. A girl in an AP US history class laughed at me when I was talking about driving to Alaska from Oregon. She insisted Alaska was an island because of how it is separated out on maps like this. I don't know if she was the dumbest person I met overall, but it was certainly the dumbest thing someone insisted they were right about. I don't know how it can be cold when it's down there, right by Hawaii. Hawaii is always warm. Maybe it's the mountains. Some girl at my school thought the same thing and we asked her why Hawaii was hot and Alaska was cold if they were right next to each other. No shit. She said that it was because the beaches at Hawaii make it hot. I asked a temp at work to weigh a couple of lever arch files for postage. She came back and told me they were 65 kilograms. I asked if it were possible that it was 6.5 kilograms, but she insisted it wasn't. Full stop. We argued about it for a good 5 minutes. It wasn't until I asked her how much she weighed, 59 kg, that did finally twig that these two small folders couldn't possibly weigh more than her. Bold move asking her how much she weighs. Pure frustration. A girl in my class in middle school genuinely thought people had landed on the sun. Her explanation for this belief was to insist that the moon and sun are made of the same stuff. Well, yeah, protons, neutrons and electrons. You can build a lot of wacky shit with that though. Protons, neutrons, electrons, and morons apparently. Morons the missing piece to the standard model, found at last. A friend that told me that drinking protein shakes means that my muscles are all fake and fat. I had a college roommate that said exactly this. He was like, well, look at me, and flexed his muscles, puny BTW, and said your muscles don't count because protein drinks are steroids. Like, okay bro, whatever you say. My stepdad literally told me the same thing yesterday. He said protein shakes give you fake muscle and I was confused as to how he came to this conclusion. Didn't you know protein equals steroids? I live in southern Spain. I once met a girl from the US who was here on some kind of exchange program. When I asked her how did she like Spain so far, she said, I'm loving it. I just don't know why the plane took so long to get here. I mean, we are just a bit below Mexico. I don't know why the flight was so long. Then I told her that we were in Europe and she didn't believe me. Her reply was, Europe? It can't be. Everyone speaks Spanish, so we must be somewhere near Mexico for sure. She was in uni. I still don't know how or why. You have been visited by Dr. Doggo. Comment and subscribe to stay healthy.